Hey everyone, this is Ryan. In today's video, we're going to take a look at creating a summary section underneath a gallery, and we'll total various columns in our table. In addition to this, what we'll take a look at is how to make this summary section adjustable on the y-axis so that if you have less than 10 rows, it will actually move up depending on the amount of rows in your gallery. So in this situation, you'll see we have more than 10, so you can easily scroll, but the summary section is fixed here. But if I do a refresh here, where we have less than 10, so in this case we have 4, you saw how the totals went from the bottom up to where the just after the fourth record right down here. The first thing to do to add a summary section to underneath your gallery is to add a few components. So the first thing that you'll need is a rectangle. So I've added this to the screen already. So it's a rectangle that will be your line break. So you see this just below the gallery. And I recommend that you just put it to the width of the gallery or beyond. It depends on how you want the aesthetics to look. But the height should be 1. So that way it's just looks like a simple line. And you can always change the color to whatever you want. In this case, we'll have it as black. Now, the next item that we need are any of the labels underneath in your summary section. So the first one is something that gives a bit of a description of what this is. So this is going to be the total. So we'll label this as total here and make it semi-bold. And the others that we have below are actually going to be our summaries. So a total for the subtotal, a total for the tax, and the grand total here on the right. So in order to get these totals, what we will do is summarize not the galleries, but we'll actually summarize the actual same table as well. So I'm just actually going to take this filter here that we have on our orders list. So let me just grab that, so it'll be a little bit of a shortcut. And the reason why we want to do that is if you summarize the galleries and you have more than 100 rows, it will summarize the first 100 rows in your gallery until you start scrolling, and then it will paginate and bring in the next 100 rows. So that's why it's best to filter by the source. Otherwise, you will get, very incorrect totals at the bottom here. So what we will do is we'll go down to our subtotal list here, and all we have to do is summarize. We'll put in the same filter query we had above for the galleries, so we're grabbing the exact same data set. And then what we will do is enter in subtotal. So that's one of our columns in our table, and then we'll close it off. So one thing that you will see that comes up here is a delegation warning. So the reason why this comes up is, obviously it's summing up internally in Power Apps, and it will be limited to the amount of rows that you have set to the max limit. So if I go to settings here and scroll down, you see I have, by default it's 500 rows. You can push this up to 2,000, but you can only sum up to that maximum limit. So if your orders table, for example, has 3,500 rows, it will not be able to go beyond the max 2,000 that you could set that value at. So here we do have the amount, but you can see how it's not formatted. So what we can do here is we can use the text function, and what we will do is format it as a currency. So we'll enter in we'll want this semi or colon delimited here, or comma delimited, and then we'll enter in the default values if it happens to be 0. And then we'll close up that function, and then you'll see it looks correct. So this is the correct summary here. And we'll just change this to semi-bold. And then what we can do is, since we're summing up on the same table, it's pretty much an easy copy and paste here to put it on the tax and the grand total at the end. So all we need to do is swap out the subtotal, switch it to our tax column here, and we'll just semi-bold this And same thing for the grand total at the end. So it will make it very easy for us. Okay, so it's pretty much done at this point. So if I press play here, you see our total list, but what we will do, just to make sure it works, I will disable a bunch of rows, I'll deactivate them, I'll go back to our list, refresh, and you see the totals update down below. So that's pretty much how easy it is to create a summary section underneath your gallery. Now, as an additional item that I want to bring up during this video is how to make this height adjustable. So we want to change, since we have less than 10 records in our gallery, you will see that the total is way down below. But if we had like a 1 record in our gallery, you will see that our summary panel our section is just at the bottom here. So what we can do is we can actually easily make this adjustable based on the amount of rows in the gallery. So this can only be done with a standard vertical gallery. So you can't use the flexible height gallery in case you have like wrapping text and each of the rows will be different heights. So you can't use it there. But if you use a standard vertical gallery, it's simple formulas to make this adjustable. So to do that, we're going to pin it on the total field here. Or actually, we can do the rectangle actually here. So what we will do is go to the Y property of the line break. And right now it's set at 643. So we'll keep that there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to count the rows in the gallery. And we're going to say all items, and we want to see if it equals 0. So if it's 0, we want probably a little bit of a line break. We want to break probably just here, so it looks like there's 1 row available. So what we will need to do is take a look at the Y position of our gallery, so we know it's 140. And then from here, what we will do is take a look at the height, and that's the template size of each row in our gallery. So that's 50. So at a minimum, we want the line break to be at 190 on the Y property. So if we go back to our line break right here, we will say this will be 190. Now, if it's between 1 or 10, or 1 or under 10, we want it to adjust based on the amount of rows that are populated in the gallery. So to do that, what we will do is copy this text here, this formula, and what we will say if it's less than 10, since we know we have a max of 10 to be shown at a time in one shot. So we'll say if it's less than 10, then what we will do is say it's going to be a minimum of 140 plus the count of our gallery items. So this could be 1 through 9, and we're going to multiply it by 50. Okay, and otherwise it's going to be the default, which is at the bottom, which is 643. So we'll close this up and close that up. So one thing that you'll notice here is the line break is directly underneath the gallery now, based on the amount of rows we have in the gallery. So in order to adjust the labels down below, what I would recommend, you don't have to copy and paste this in all the Y properties of these. What you can do is you can simply go to each of these, go to the Y property, and from here you can say rectangle summary line break dot Y. So it'll always reference the Y property of your line break. So this way it will move up and down, and you don't have to do, there's not less, being run in Power Apps at that point. It's a simple, what's the value of your line break, and it will follow that. So from here, to see it working, what we will do is go to our inactive orders. We'll enable 2 of them, so we'll activate. Go back to our list here, refresh, and you see how it drops below. So we do have 10 there. So we're fine there. So if I go beyond the list and I activate all these, and then I refresh, oh, I do have more than that. So I think that was 9 before. So we do have more than 10. And you'll see how I can scroll, but we have like a floor limit for where the summary section should appear. And if I happen to go to my active orders and deactivate all of them at this point, and then refresh, you'll see a line break here. And it looks like we have 1 row. Perhaps if you have no data there, you can say no data, some sort of, conditionally displayed text label there. And then if we, for example, go to inactive and add 1 and activate, you will see that the data will now appear. So that's a nice, quick, easy way to improve the aesthetics of your app, making it more flexible, just because it's more reflective of, other apps out there, and just making it easier for your users to not have to look down to see like the summary values in your app.